There you are.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
All right. How are you?
Good. Good. Very well, thanks. Is it Lene?
Lene.
Lena.
Yeah.
Good enough?
Yes.
Good, good. Well, thank you for joining me here. This meeting is completely yours, and I'd like to give you whatever you wish to get out of it. And so let's just jump right in if that's okay.
Yeah.
What is it ultimately that you're seeking?
Freedom
Hmm.
to and peace and the truth.
And what do you think your relationship is to that right now?
I feel like I'm watching a person and I feel a bit of nervousness
Hmm.
because I don't speak English very much.
Sounds
And
perfect to me.
yeah, and I have had this pattern of performance anxiety that limit me for many years, very much.
Who
Um,
are you ever performing to?
yeah, I tried to perform to the world, but now I start to see that that's just a play. So it loosens, and that's when I found your channel
Hmm.
last year or so, and it's changed from looking for into the spiritual world to gain something for the person,
Hmm.
and then it's changed. So I don't just want to get rid of the person. I don't want to be anything, or I don't want to become anything. I just want to be.
Hmm.
And the last video, the final, you called it the final step or the guidance
Yeah, I
for
think
20
that's final
minutes.
message or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yep.
that was actually what I want to ask you to do for me.
Sure.
And then you post that one. Yeah, so I heard this twice this morning and I tried again now, but now I went up to my mind because of the nervousness and I
Hmm.
tried to go in and feel because it's in the chest or yeah, moving around here and up to the head and it
What
started to go down.
what's noticing this?
There's a silence in the background and it's like as floating. It's like it's the feeling in the chest is like a small thing floating on something bigger. And when I feel into it, it's outside my body. And I also recognized it when you talk to your friend, and he said you can feel like you expand and then contract again.
Mhm.
I feel I recognize that.
Yeah. So what you're noticing right now is the difference between a contracted state of consciousness and the always infinite, expansive state of consciousness. And so really all awakening is, all
Mm.
liberation is a shift in perspective from this focusing mechanism into the expansive mechanism. The expansive mechanism is mechanismless. It's just the infinite pure potentiality from which the focusing mechanisms come into play. And so it's
Yeah.
just a release of identification with these focusing mechanisms. But even right now, you can sense it. You can sense into what this is and where it is for you. And so really, it's simple. We just dislodge our identification from this structure and place it in this more expansive structure, the structureless structure.
Yeah.
And so I say it's simple because it's only the mind that tries to complicate this.
Yeah.
Enlightenment is very simple.
Yeah.
It's already the substance of everything that's here, including the nervous energy. The nervous energy is just a contraction of and within infinite consciousness. the consciousness that you always are. And so it's just continually recognizing this. And as we continually recognize this in our direct experience, it begins to shift the place from which we view and experience reality from. And eventually, things just start wicking off of you. You notice in your direct experience, in your direct lived life, that things that used to grab at you don't grab at you as much anymore. And you've probably already noticed this. You've probably already noticed that things grab at you less in your life, right? Things that used to perhaps, trigger you into an automatic reaction no longer have the same pull on you. And so this is just a gradual releasing of this contracted energy into just what's observing. What is this? And as you become just what's observing, you notice the qualities of it. You notice that the observer itself is actually everything that is observed also. That's a
Mm.
downstream thing that happens automatically. You don't need to really worry about all of that. The only thing that this perceived doer does in the enlightenment journey is release from its contracted states. It just disidentifies from its contracted states. And then what's termed grace or some other, some sort of gravity of truth happens within us. And there's this total expanse, this total release of all rigid identities and structures. And that release is what's termed liberation or enlightenment. And this is not a far off thing. This is regular. This is natural. It's our belief that this is a far off thing, that this is a grandiose event, a magical happening that keeps us separate from it. It's the story mode that disallows the direct experience of this.
Yeah. And I find myself in the story sometimes, and I just get so frustrated because, oh no, I'm out in the story, and often then I also feel like not a deep depression, but I feel sadness. And then I just listen to a video and sit and breathe, and I can feel I get back to myself, to my real self.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the process everybody goes
Yeah.
through. That's
So it's like training,
yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah, it's like
uh,
going to the gym. It's like
yeah,
it's like working out.
abiding.
Yeah, it's just a rep. It's just like a mental rep that we all have to take in our
Mm,
direct lived experience. It's just repeatedly coming back to what knows this, or the essence within which this is all occurring. It's
yeah.
just about releasing a contracted mode into a more expansive mode. And as we continually do that, these contracted modes have less of a pull and sway on us until eventually they have no pull and sway on us.
And it's like sometimes it flows for days,
Hmm.
and then it's suddenly like a mind attack. And as I wrote to you, I can't sleep. The mind is just, ooh,
Hmm.
it's like the mind just fight back. Uh,
It's easier when we take the perspective on this that it's not fighting back. Instead,
mm,
it's an invitation to
yeah.
look deeply. Like every hardship, if we reorient our
Mm,
relationship with hardship, with suffering, with any sort of challenge in life
yeah.
to being against us as the truth of it, which is an invitation to discover the truth of this now moment, it
Mm,
actually works with us. It's actually a divine invitation into true presence. So
yeah.
anytime you feel like you have a mind attack, say thank you to it
Thank you.
and look directly at its substance. Like, what is it saying? From what direction is it coming? And what is it? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like anytime you have any sort of mental sort of attack or challenge or even a physical pain, look directly into it and pose the question, what is this? And be intensely curious into discovering what actually is this? Not what
Yeah.
does this mean? Like, not the story about this. Don't look for anything like that. Look for the actual vibrational essence of what is this? And then you come into direct contact with what it actually is. And oftentimes these disharmonious energies or frequencies or contracted states of being, oftentimes they just, I don't, they just want to be seen or released or allowed. And as they're just seen, released, or allowed, they dissipate.
Yeah.
And so you've probably heard me talk about bringing pure awareness into the center of these disharmonious energies. And
Yeah.
with that, these disharmonious energies are allowed to just fizzle out. It's when we fight them that they grow.
Yeah. What you resist persists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because resistance is the energy from which they've grown in the first place.
Yeah.
So if a resistance is instead allowed,
Mm.
then what happens?
Yeah.
It completely disappears.
Yeah, I experienced that once. When you say now, I remember when I got divorced 12, 15 years ago, and I felt such loathe or jealousy because he just started to see other people and it hurts so much. And I want to do everything. I want to call him, I want to text him, I want to do. And I just sat for 2 days and cried till it stopped. And I haven't been jealous ever since.
That's great. You allowed it all
Yeah.
to just release.
Yeah.
Yeah, and instead, if you would have fought it, if you would have tried to suppress those energies and instead
Yeah.
like try to push them away, they would have always been in the subconscious, working in the background and influencing your actions and thoughts from a background way fizzling out into your direct lived experience. And
Yeah.
so you did that exactly right. You felt it. You felt the full visceral feeling of the depression, of the angst, the anger, the jealousy, whatever all those feelings were.
Yeah.
You fully allowed them, and now they're gone.
Yeah.
You're free.
Yeah. What's coming up now is this angst and anger sometimes,
Hmm.
and probably from childhood. You're supposed to be happy and be nice and not angry, and so I suppressed a lot. And just after finding you and listen to your videos, I can now see that I have to not have to, but to just look at them and sit with it.
Yeah.
So just start to do that because I listened to your video some weeks ago. You talked about this, and I every time it comes up, so I sleep better. It's not when I you do this before I go to bed. I look at it and it's softened.
Mhm.
It doesn't disappear completely, but it's not like it's not that tight. So I feel I can breathe and then I relax and I
Mm,
sleep.
mm,
Because I had some nights where I couldn't sleep. It was almost I couldn't breathe. And then I saw your video and I tried to look at it. And I also talked to Colette
mm.
a little bit. And that was it's very helpful too.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm I'm supposed to have a conversation with Colette soon. We just haven't organized anything just yet. But yeah, I love her videos as well. She's great. She's great at directly pointing at this also in her direct experience. And so yeah,
Yeah, and she has grown as well. So we have this 8 Sundays. We're 10 people or so.
Mm,
She's leading the meeting, but some questions come and just silence, and then she's talk a bit. And she, the last thing we talked about, she said she couldn't find a reference point anymore.
hmm.
I'm not there, but I'm attached to my body still.
What is what is attached to your body still?
Mm. It's just a thought. Yeah.
The body mind itself is a thought.
Yeah.
It's a thought that's believed in so extremely that we interpret all of our senses through it, or at least we think we do, until it's investigated and we find out that actually the senses are just pure free floating in infinite consciousness. And actually, so is this seeming self through which we think we're perceiving. It's also just a contracted thought form.
Yeah.
Attention, we've given this body mind more attention than anything else in our known universe, right? And so attention really is just the constriction of infinite consciousness into a finite experience. And so our experience of this body mind is that finite experience, but it's just a constriction or contraction of infinite consciousness, infinite awareness, infinite pure being, pure presence. But when we just investigate it, just like you did the nervous energy, or just like you did like all those energies that arose as a result of your divorce, like do the same thing with the self. Like try to find it, and wherever your sense of it is, bring that pure awareness into it, and just be like, what is this? Where is
Yeah.
this? What is the substance of this? And as you do that, you're clearing the cobwebs out of the dark shadows of your assumption. And as you do that, then pure light is just kind of flows through. And you notice that it's not flowing through anything or from anywhere. It's the whole of being. It's all of what is. And that ultimately is your nature, right here and right now. You don't need to wait until the body dies to drop it.
Yeah, that's my highest wish. I could feel that now. To just drop this. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to be dismissive in the sense that
No.
I don't mean to just like tell you that this is super easy to do, because it's not. It's the body and the seeming self is something we've just believed in so long. So we've sent so much fuel of attention towards it, and in so much investment in mental energy towards it, that it's taken on this sort of gravity, and it just kind of sucks our attention always. But we just need to investigate it to find out its unreality. And ultimately, when it's fully realized that this self was just a looking glass, for pure our true nature, pure infinite awareness, then it's
Yeah.
just like, why would I look through this paper towel tube? Like there's no, like, just throw that away and then just experience purely what
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it's like the body is like an experience antenna or
Hmm.
something.
Yeah,
Just taking some signals, and then you think that this is the reality.
exactly.
I can see, yeah, as you said, it's training. I can see sometimes a thought comes up, and if I just watch it consciously and lean back, it just go away.
Hmm.
But sometimes I get pulled into the thought and start making the story, and then all the emotion comes in the body.
That's just because you're feeding the thought.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so what happens if, instead of feeding the thought or believing whatever thought arises, what if as soon as a thought came up, especially a strong thought, a thought that's been believed in maybe for a long time and given a lot of energy in that way, what if when a thought arises in the mind that you actually just go look at it directly, go into it, and ask, what is this?
mm,
Well, what is this thought? What is it made of? What is a thought made of? I'm asking you, like, can you locate what, or identify what a thought is made of?
just energy.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. But energy is just what physicists call consciousness.
Yeah, and that is sometimes when I see it like that, and when I listen to your videos, I just know it, and then I fall into the story again.
Hmm.
So is that coming back and start again, pick yourself up and start again?
Yeah.
And
I'm just curious. I'm
investigation.
curious. What is your process to start again? What is there a prompt that works for you, or like is there a question that works for you, or
The truth just is.
yeah, I saw that you wrote that in your email.
Yeah.
The truth just is. What I think when you were walking your dog,
Yeah.
you said you oftentimes just sink into that. The truth just is. And yeah, what does that mean for you, or what does that bring you? Where does that place you?
It just opens me up. It's like just
Yeah,
woo,
good,
like the energy drops from my mind and down and out.
perfect. Yeah.
Especially when I'm in nature, but I just look at the tree and I say the words inside, or I say I am.
Mm,
These are the two I use most.
good.
And his, yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, it's because I have a lot of time, I go slow. It's like I have, because I always been running around doing things, and now I just go slow
Mm,
and it's easier.
hmm
I don't have that much of a mental checklist for everything I have to do. And then it's like walking this old dog. It's perfect because he's slow, but he's slow. He loves to go for walks, so we can
hmm
go for an hour in the woods, and we don't go far, but I can stop often, look at the tree or a stone or whatever, and say the truth just is.
In those moments when you look at a tree or a stone and you're in this place of the truth just is, what is your experience of the tree or the stone? Like, is there any sort of conceptualization going on there? Is there any sort of mind activity?
I try to watch that, and sometimes there is, and sometimes it's just like the tree stem gets clearer. I don't know what it is. It's just very clear.
Hmm
Same with the stone, because I also have studying in biology and geology, so the mind is so easily picking up knowledge.
hmm
But I'm more interested in what it actually is than what I know about it.
Perfect.
And that's why I love to go in nature. And as I wrote to you, up in the mountains, in my cabin, no internet, no nothing.
Mm.
Then I can feel this silence and peace, not disturbed. So I feel more more myself, more
Love it.
home.
Mm.
So I
Perfect.
was longing back to this silence and try not to watch too much TV. I like to watch a good film sometimes, but then I feel I get pulled into the TV or the phone, and that it doesn't feel good.
Mhm. Well,
I'm
your practice when you're walking your dog sounds perfect. It sounds
yeah,
beautiful. It's just about clarifying what those qualities actually are. Like what is actually there. Like invest when you're in that mode next time, just
yeah,
really investigate it. Like ask when you see the tree, ask what is this? And don't allow any story to come. But like the more we investigate, like what's there in that essence, the more we stabilize in that. So the more we like become curious about what actually is, and don't allow anything to come into mind thinking that it knows what is. You know, this isn't us trying to discover anything. This is actually us trying to release any sort of mental imagining about what is here. So like asking what actually is. You know, we're not looking for an answer. We're putting our position in the space that just allows all things. And so continuing to do that, you've already established yourself there. Now it's just about, you know, putting putting roots there or becoming stabilized within that space. And then everything else happens on its own,
yeah.
you know, because there's no more doer. At that point, the doer is it doesn't live there, right? Like when 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 you're in that space, can you notice that there's no sense of self and other? There's no sense of doer and you as a personal identity doing something. There's just what is.
Yeah.
A
I
free
had this experience when I walked the dog after talking to Colette. I
Mhm.
feel very spacious. And then I saw just the body and the dog walking in front of me.
Mm,
And I just felt the space and I can just see it. There's awareness of a body walking a dog.
yeah, just continue that. That's beautiful. That's perfect.
Yeah. But
That
and then it went back and I tried not to search for a new experience.
right. Good.
Just want to ask that question and just be still.
Notice what's coming back. What it when there's a sensation of coming back, what is happening there? Can you notice right now what's happening there? Can you kind of put your position there and notice what's happening?
When I come back to my body,
Yeah.
um, it feels like it's contracted.
What is
uh,
contracted?
the energy.
Yeah, or awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's more like instead of going out, it's like everything is contracted in the middle of the body
So
and
what
the
is
head.
that? What is it? What is that made of?
I just feel space and I cannot really say what it's made of.
Mhm.
I don't know.
So what you just did there and what your practice will now be is bringing this space that you just noticed is also within the contraction,
Yeah.
and you're allowing those contractions to now dissipate. That's the
Yeah.
only activity to really do.
Yeah. And it's the intent, attention into the contraction then keeps the contraction.
Mhm. So with
Mm.
this exercise, you're dissipating those kind of the little sinews of stuck contracted energies. Like you are already this infinite consciousness, and you've already been pretty much stabilized within that every time you walk your dog. It's now just investigating all these other little stuck energies and really
Yeah.
investigating them to their core and ultimately discovering their spaciousness, discovering their transparency that's in them also. And in that, you're dissipating them, you're dissolving these energies.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot more to do. It's just this.
Mm. Mm. Like the pressure went from inwards to
Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Yes.
Mm.
That's the sensation that's often associated with this release of these
Yeah.
contracted energies.
Like a star.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Totally.
Mm.
If you bring this practice into everything that seems to challenge this,
Mm.
you'll dissolve those few last remaining items and rejoin just your true nature.
Yeah.
It's pure consciousness. And that's turned enlightenment or liberation. It's right here for us because it's already
Yeah.
what we are.
I think people think I'm crazy. I don't talk very much with other people about it because they think it's rubbish or they want to evolve the person or to have better thoughts or do better with just the person.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I was like that, training, nutrition, longevity. This was important thing, and now everything is turned upside down. Of course, I want to take care of the body because you want to have a good vehicle.
Hmm.
So I understand why people. I have changed the person I that people meet. So how do you, when you encounter people that is not interested at all, you just don't talk about it?
Yeah, you just don't, there's no need to talk about it.
No.
They'll recognize the qualities that are there
Yeah.
as, there's always full acceptance of whatever is. And so even people that have an extreme aversion to this type of talk, yeah, we don't talk about it, but they'll
Mm.
notice that in every situation, that woman over there is very free in what would otherwise be a very tumultuous circumstance. And that's just who you become to people.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be, this isn't a philosophy. This is a way of being. We don't need
Yeah.
to, if people are interested, sure, we'll talk about it. But it doesn't need to be shared on the cognitive level. When people are ready for this kind of message, they come to things like this. And there's a ripening that kind of seems to be required for a consciousness, a focal node of consciousness to be interested in these kind of things and to
Yeah.
be to be interested in understanding or coming into direct contact with their unlimited nature. And so not everybody is interested just yet,
No.
and that's totally fine. We don't need to talk with this about this at all, but just remain in your spacious place of just pure allowance, pure allowance is the same thing as pure awareness. They're
Okay.
the exact same thing. Pure consciousness. I use a couple different terms interchangeably, but ultimately this is just pure being. It allows all things. And so it doesn't matter if you encounter people that have an aversion to this type of speak. We don't need to speak like this. You can be a normal person. You can still be interested in nutrition and working out and dieting and running and doing whatever like human things you want to do. It's all fine. There's natural tendencies for the human that are all fine. They're all allowed. They're all allowed in pure awareness.
Yeah. So, is this the same if, as this feeling contraction with the illness in the body? Is it just the same, just the physical thing?
Yeah, it's all one thing. It's all consciousness. Everything is a condensation of consciousness. And
Yeah,
so
if you just look at it at the same way as you do as in the contraction, I just look at, if I have a headache, I look at it and ask, what is this?
yeah, go into the middle of it. Bring pure
Mm.
allowance, pure awareness, pure allowance into the center of whatever sensation is happening and decipher its qualities. What you'll likely come to find out is that you can't find it anywhere. You'll start chasing it around with pure awareness, pure allowance, and notice that it can't actually be located. Because soon as you go to the center of it, it disappears or it moves somewhere else. And so, yeah, we can kind of chase things around with pure awareness for a little while until they fizzle out.
Mm. But I had this fatigue. I'm much better now, but that is very hard to find because it's nowhere. It's just like extreme tiredness all the time. And the worst days I couldn't even walk. So when I looked at this, and it's also a pattern because I started to say, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, and then you identify the I with tiredness.
Hmm. And then it's
And
fueling
that's
those
not true.
energies.
Yeah. So I stopped that, and it's a process.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Just like,
can't be tired. I watch the tired
mhm.
feeling.
Perfect. Yeah. Is the awareness of this tiredness, of this fatigue, is
Mm.
it itself tired or fatigued?
No,
It isn't.
no.
So just stay in your ultimate position until it eventually just percolates and allows the dissolving of these, these stuck energies to dissipate. Some things require more time to dissipate, and they'll continually come up, oftentimes less and less ferociously, but a lot of times things will cycle back and, stuck habits will come up. And yeah, we just encounter them. We just allow them. We look at them directly. We go to the center of them and allow
Yeah.
with our just pure awareness. And that's healing.
Yeah.
That's how we heal. That's how we heal ourselves, and that's how we heal the world around us. Till eventually we come to the true understanding that the world around us is just a reflection of the world within us. And actually, there is no within or without. It's all one thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I said to just say that to myself if I feel scared, and sometimes I just turn into laughter
Mm-hmm.
because I know it's true. So it's funny when I just put myself in a corner with fear
Mm-hmm.
when there's actually nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's turned into laughter, then it's, of course, the fear is gone.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like energies can be transmuted, and they change in it as they seem to oscillate within our experience. They change. So yeah, fear oftentimes becomes laughter as it raises up the vibrational scale. But and hate eventually turns into love. These are all the same thing, just experienced on different accords, for example, on different dimensions. And so pure awareness is the pure solvent that allows all things and allows things to naturally increase in vibration until they disappear. And so fear becomes laughter oftentimes. And this is how all energies kind of fizzle out. They'll change, they'll raise in the vibrational chords until they become completely transparent and non-existent.
Yeah.
And then there's just the joy of being, just pure being, not as anything, not for anything. All the flavors are enjoyed, whatever vibrational frequency they're on, they're savored. They're just enjoyed for just the dance of being. This is how life is truly encountered.
Yeah. So even cleaning the floor is enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not really it's not the same sense of enjoyable. It's like it's not that I enjoy cleaning the floors. That's a story. It's the
Mm.
sensations involved that are savored. This is the joy of being dancing about.
Yeah.
It's not being interpreted as like I'm cleaning the floor. Oh, this is hard. Me scrubbing this. It's not interpreted through those lenses anymore. It's
No.
just encountered on a pure vibrational level, and these energies are just encountered as energies rather than stories.
Mm.
And as that, they're enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've experienced when I always meditate in the morning or just sit, listen to a video and just sit, look out the window. And then there just, I just like to go to clean the bathroom. I just go and feel happy and just do it. And I try not to force myself to do things because then I can get irritated and then I strengthen the things in myself that I try to release. So I'd rather sit down for 10 or 15 minutes to feel the peace, or feel the inspiration coming, and then I can do something.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good practice. Also, like the hesitancy to do things that pops up in the mind. That hesitancy is like it's like a subtle suffering. It's a subtle vibration of suffering, hesitancy, because it's not pure allowance. Hesitancy is not pure allowance. If we actually just like go with things without allowing the mind to jump in saying, I don't want to do this, and then wrapping a story around it and then coming up with a whole agenda list, if we stop doing that and we just go with what is, we'll realize that, going with what is actually is happiness, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
This is why going with the flow, as they say, is
Mm.
so enjoyable. You know, it's,
Mm.
we're not deciphering where the flow is going. The flow just goes, and we just need to go with it.
Yeah. It was great. It seems so easy when you just said it now, and I just felt it in my heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the mind that likes to complicate these things.
Yeah. Uh,
That's why it's so nice to, you know, put down the prism of mind
yeah.
every once in a while, at least,
Yeah.
and realize the joy of being. And
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be any certain way. We don't
No.
need to decide or dictate where the flow of life takes us. Just enjoy the flow of life. And enjoying the flow of life is allowing full joy to just be expressed. That's just how reality works.
Yeah. I read the book I Am That.
Hmm.
I just read one chapter and I have to wait some days, and just like I do with your book.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this I recognize I have a preference for making other people happy so I can be happy.
Mm.
And he said, in why don't you just be happy?
Mm.
And that was a great one. Because, okay, why do I have to make other people happy for me to be happy? Why can't I just be happy and share?
Mm-hmm.
So, together with what you said now and this one, this just really stood up for me now as a thing to just let go of. Yeah,
Yeah, what would happen if you fully let go?
would be
Of
happy.
Yeah, you'd be very happy under every circumstance. That's
Yeah,
the joy of being, and that's
yeah,
what we're pointing to here. That's
uh,
just what is.
yeah,
And the more we can just be what is, that's happiness.
yeah. It's like bubbling. And sometimes it's just, what is it? Is it that easy?
It is.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
anytime the mind tells you something else, just understand it's not reality. It's not true.
No,
You don't need to look through that lens. The mind is a useful tool for some things. It's
yeah,
the tool with which we build rockets and go to Mars, but it's not the tool with which we discover our nature or find happiness.
no.
So pick up the
Mm.
tool of mind when you need to do something intricate. It's great for that.
Yeah,
But the mind itself will never know its essence.
no,
We need to put the mind aside in order to enjoy our essence.
yeah,
Ultimately, the mind itself is a contraction of this essence, but the mind cannot know that.
mm,
Because in order for the mind to know that, it needs to let go of its own contraction and therefore dissipate itself. And then what would know?
mm. Everything just
Mm-hmm.
blurred out.
Yeah, this can have interesting effects in our perceived reality because consciousness is becoming less constricted and
Yeah,
rejoining its infinite potentiality. Attention is what constricts infinite potentiality into finite experience.
yeah,
So as we let go of attention, it deconstricts and rejoins its infinite nature. in this direct experience. And that's what's so beautiful about life. It's the experience of this.
Thank you. It's like the silence. I can hear people talk outside, but it's like the silence in the foreground. And there's sounds popping out of the silence and going back.
Mm-hmm. Same with movement. Movement pops out of the stillness and goes back.
Yeah. But is it normal that the vision, my eyes just, everything was like a fog?
It'll
It's like
stable. It'll stabilize with new, broader vision. But yeah, that's often what happens in the transition from a contracted mode
mm.
to an expansive mode. There seems to be a panoramic opening.
Mm. Yeah, I had that experience once many years ago when I had a question where before I got divorced, what to do. And it was, my life was very, very intense. And I walked in the woods, and then suddenly I can see all around. And there one sentence just repeat, repeat, repeat the
Mm.
same thing. I can't live with you anymore, or something
Mm.
like that. So I just had to go home and say that to him. But then it was like I can see all around myself,
Yeah,
forward, backwards.
it's a clarity that
Mm,
everything seems to now be working within.
yeah.
You know, the more we see like this, the less anything that comes within your vision disrupts this clarity.
Yeah, and I also believed, not believed in myself, I believed what everyone said to me. This is just nonsense. You're just stupid to believe in that. And then I always thought that everyone else was right and not what I experienced myself. But
Mm.
now I found you and I found Paulette, and now I understand that this experience is not just nonsense. So it's very nice to find other people
Yeah,
and connect and
trust
be
yourself,
part of
trust your
it.
direct experience. You know, this is ultimately what we are. So we don't need to look outside of ourselves for confirmation of what we are. We
Yeah,
need to just investigate our immediate, intimate nature,
yeah,
our most intimate nature. What is actually here? And really discover what is and understand that we are that. And with that understanding, everything clarifies. And that's
yeah.
enlightenment. That's liberation because with this clarification, the stuck energies are no longer stuck. Everything just kind of moves through this clarity, this freedom. Doesn't matter what happens. It's all a movement of clarity, of freedom.
Yeah. I think I've done that all my life. Just listen to what others say I should do.
Most people do that.
Yeah. Because the fear of not being good enough and not doing the right thing
Mm-hmm.
and thinking others know more than me.
I think everybody feels that way,
Yeah.
you know, until eventually somebody just randomly has a breakthrough and
Mm.
understands that, wait a second, I don't need to interpret myself through other people or
No.
through other lenses. That doesn't even make sense. And then they tell other people and say, no, look at yourself with yourself.
Yeah.
That's what awakening is.
Yeah. And I also experience that in situation that people say to me, yeah, you should be offended about this, but I'm not. Yeah, you should be. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Sometimes they can convince you of it, right?
Yeah.
And then you will become offended.
Yeah. And so, oh,
No,
okay, there's
they're
something
right.
wrong with me.
Right.
Uh, you-
And then all of a sudden you create a stuck energy that never needed to be there to begin with. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of people go through life like that, but we don't need to. This can be a lot
No.
more simple than that.
Yeah.
And if you can allow this new model of being to be who and what you are, then life flows a lot more joyously,
Yeah.
effortlessly. Life itself, the flow that I was talking about, is divinely intelligent. It created the entire cosmos, the entire universe. It created you. So you can trust the flow of life. That's all there is, anyways.
Yeah.
It's just mental and stuck energies that create all these logs and rocks in this river that we bang up against. But if you became the flow of life itself, the water itself, water doesn't get stuck. It
No.
just flows
Yeah.
effortlessly. There's no effort there.
No.
There's no doer there. There's no doing there. There's just happening, flowing. That
That's why
is
I don't like to make plans. I just like to go. Before I always made plans, but I don't like that anymore. I just okay, I go shopping, I make the dinner, and I don't have to plan for it. It just
right.
happens.
Yeah, yeah, it'll just happen. And sometimes planning is even part of what's just happening. We
Yeah.
don't have problems with anything.
No.
Anything can happen. We just go with it, including
Yeah.
sometimes planning. But yeah, we don't need to plan everything. We don't need
No.
to plan when there's no need to plan.
No. It's okay when you have to reach a plane or something.
Right, it's okay.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, if it's not necessary, it doesn't need to be done, then it doesn't need to be done. Don't
No.
force yourself to do anything that doesn't need to be done.
No.
What needs to be done will be done if you just allow. Allow yourself to flow with what is
Yeah.
as pure consciousness. That is the flow. That
Yeah.
is what allows the flow to flow, is stabilizing as pure consciousness.
Yeah.
Pure consciousness is the flow of what is. It's the activity of being.
It was really great. Thank you.
Anytime. If you ever want
Yeah.
to have another call, just sign up for another meeting.
Yeah. Because now I'm in the Patreon, so I can just write you there.
Yeah, Patreon's for direct and private messaging, and yeah, hit me up anytime. Anytime you have an issue, and we can always jump on another call or just you know text directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love to join if you have this group satsang or when you find time.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my plan was to get through all the individual meetings first, and then do the group.
Yeah.
And I need to look at to see how many more individual meetings I have. I'm not sure, but hopefully sometime I'm hoping sometime next week, if I don't have a
Yeah.
whole lot of other work. I've got this bat job. Uh, I'm out monitoring bats.
Okay.
And that requires me to go out during nighttime, and so that can throw off the schedules a little bit. But if I don't have to do that as much next week, hopefully next week,
Yeah.
we'll see.
I'm in.
We'll go with the flow,
Yeah.
huh?